Now I want to talk about some more advanced level operators. I've already told you that how to work with the subtraction, multiplication, division, addition operators, but there are a few more operators that you should know and that are really helpful in various scenarios. Alright, so first of all, I want to let you know that how we define a variable. Like we define a equals to 2. So this is how we define a variable and assign any particular value inside that variable. What if I want to assign a same value in multiple variables? Like b should have 2, c should have 2 as well. So rather than writing it like this, Python provide me another efficient way. Like I want to give the value of b to a and the value of c to b, and c should contain 2. So 2 will be stored in c, and the value of c will be stored in b, and the value of b will be stored in a. So in this case, all the variables a, b and c will be having value 2. Alright, so this is the more efficient and a clean way of defining and initializing variables. Let's say that we want to define the variables a, b, c, and the first variable a is containing a string like my name. Alright, and the second variable containing an integer, let's say 2, and the third variable is containing a 3.4, a float value. Let's add a comma here. So this is another way that we can define the variables. The first variable a is containing the value this one, the second variable containing the value this one, and the third will be having this value. So I just wanted to show you two other ways of initializing the variables. Now let's define the variables to apply some advanced level operators in Python. Alright, so one operator is very basic. Let's add a num1 equals to 2. Alright, and what if I want to increment the value of num1 and I want this num1 variable to have 3 rather than 2, and if it's 3 then it becomes 4. I want to add 1 inside the previous value of the num1 variable. One way to do that is define a num1 and then bring up the value of num1 and then add 1. Alright, so it's gonna take out the value of num1, which is 2, and add up the 1, and it will become 3, and I'm storing it back to the num1, and this num1 will be having the 3 inside it. So if num1 is containing 5 previously, then after this statement this num1 will containing 6. Alright, so let's check it out if it's working fine. So I'm going to write num1, let's save this file, and I'm going to print out. So it's gonna print out 6 right here in my terminal. Alright, now there is another way that we can let's comment this one. So for commenting in Python, we can simply write hash sign before any particular line. What the commenting mean is that it's just for our help to understand the code, that what's going on. Sometimes we write a code that is pretty much complex and we leave that code. After 1 month when we see that code, we are unable to understand what's going on in the code. So the comments really help us to describe what's going on in that code. Let's say that I want to write a comment that we are incrementing the value of num1. Alright, this is the comment, and after that I'm incrementing the value of num1. There is another way that we can increment the value of num1, and that is num1, and I can write plus equals 1. Alright, and it is same as this one. Alright, so let's go and check this out. So you can see that it has printed out 6 again. The earlier value, the previous value of num1 was 5, and it has added up 1 inside it and stored it back to num1 with this single statement. and it is more clean. What if I want to add a 2 in the num1 and store it back at the same time? So I can just change it 2 from 1 or 3 from 1. Okay, so now let's print out the num1 if it's working fine for this operator. So I'm going to run this one. So it has printed out 8 like this. All right, and same work for subtraction, same work for same work for multiplication, same work for division, same work for mod operator. As I've already explained you that division operator returns the quotient and the mod operator returns the remainder of our result. All right, and let's check out let's say I want to uh, find the exponent of the num1 to num2. Let's say that I want add a double static right here. So what it's gonna do, let's define another one. So it is same as num1 double static 3. So the 5 exponent, 5 is the base and 3 is the exponent. So it's gonna find out 5 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 5, and it's gonna store the result of it in the num1 back. All right, so this is same as, let's add a hash sign before it so that it doesn't execute 2 times. Okay, so let's add, so it should print out 125. So I'm gonna run this file. So it has printed out 125. All right, so this is how we can use these operators in multiple ways. This is the more cleaner code rather than this one or this one, and we can work along with it in multiple forms. There are other logical operators as well, like OR operator, AND operator, but when I come to back to the if statements or a switch statements, I'll talk about that, what are those operators. So that's it for these operators. Next I wanna discuss about taking input from the user. All right, so for taking input from the user, let's say that I will define a num1, not num1, but let's say let's define, just to give you an example, I want to define input, and this is a built-in function in Python, and inside it I want to show a message to a user, enter your name. All right, so it's not it, the interpreter will stop at this particular point unless we don't write anything or give it an input value. All right, so after that I'm going to print out num1. So if I run this one, this file, it's still waiting for me to enter something in my terminal. It's asking me that enter your name, and this is the name, and this input function is waiting for me. So I will write Umair and I will press enter, and once I will press enter, the value, whatever value I will enter in my terminal, will be stored in num1, and that value will be shown up right here after executing this statement. All right, so let's press enter. So you can see that I pressed enter Umair and it has shown up my name, and I can concatenate it with another string, your name is end up with a double quote and add a plus sign to concatenate or join both the strings. So let's add and run it. So Umair, so it has printed out a message that your name is Umair. All right, so let's define and create a small application. I want to get the marks of a student of 3 subjects. I want to ask a student that enter the marks of your first subject, enter the marks of your second and third subjects, and after that I'll print out the average marks of all the subjects of that particular student. So how we can do it? So I want to change the message that enter marks of subject 1. All right, and I want to copy this line and paste it 2 more times, and I want to change the variable names. Make sure we can't define one variable again in the same file. Alright, if I've defined num1, I can't define the num1 again right below, because if I define num1 again, that will be replaced with the previous value. Okay, and when I will change the, let's say I want this num1, and when I will enter anything inside it, this will change the value of the num1 as well. So it's good that you don't write the same name as a variable name. So I will change the message. Alright, and after that I want to define a variable result, and inside the result I want to find the average of all the marks of that particular student. So I will define a bracket and I will write num1 plus num2 plus num3, and once I will add it, I will divide it by 3. Alright, and it's gonna return me the result, the average marks in my result variable. Okay, so I'm going to print out the message that your average marks are, and I will concatenate it with the result. Alright, so I'm going to save this file and I'm going to run it, and I need to enter the marks of my subject 1. Let's say 80, 75, 64. So it has shown me an error that is saying that unsupported operand type for slash colon string and int. So in our case there are two main reasons because of which it is showing an error. One reason is that this result is not a string, and this plus operator can only be used to concatenate or join two strings. This is a string and this is an integer, so I'm using plus sign, so this can't be used for joining an integer and a string. For joining the two values of different data types like a string and an integer, I need to use a comma. Alright, now if this is a float or a character or an integer that is needed to be joined with a string, it will join that thing. Another thing that is that when I will enter any value after taking input from the user, this will be stored as a string but not as an integer. Alright, so I can't divide the string by an integer. I need to convert this string into an integer, although the value that I will enter or a user will enter will be an integer, but that value will be within the double quotes. So anything that is within the double quotes will be considered as string, whether the value containing only digits. Alright, so I need to convert all these values into integer. So in order to convert these values, I can write int and the brackets. Alright, and I need to, this is a string. Let's say that the num1 was previously containing 24, 34. Alright, this is an integer, but although it is in the double quotes, so this will be considered as string, because within the string integers are also considered as characters but not as digits. Alright, so when I will convert this value into an integer, this double quotes will be removed and it will become the actual integer value. Alright, so now we need to do it for other num2 and num3. So I will write integer num2, integer num3. Alright, now all these values will be converted to integer and will be added up and will be divided with the 3, and that this result will be containing a value in the integer or a float. Alright, so now let's run this file. So I'm going to write 80, 75, 64. So it has printed out your average marks are 73.0. Alright, if I want to remove 0.0 from here, I can just simply write int around this result. Alright, so let's run this file again. So I'm going to write 80, 75, 64. So you can see that the decimal point dot zero has gone because integer value doesn't contain points in its value. The points only contains within the data types of float and double. So this is how we can use the input function for taking input from the user, and that is really helpful. Almost every application nowadays needs user input, user interaction. So you need to work along with it for multiple things, for adding up things. I would recommend you to make a calculator out of this concept that you take an input from the user, two numbers from the user, and then you will take an input from the user, the character. If user enters a plus sign, then you need to show the summation of two numbers. If user enters subtraction sign, then you need to show the subtraction result of those two numbers. So go ahead and do that.